What's up, guys? Young Medical Influencers here, and today we're going to talk about how to understand and grow your audience. The general conversation that we're going to have today is about understanding growing your audience, and I know that you have had massive success on YouTube. You have your Braces Explained YouTube, as we mentioned before. You have 18,000 subscribers, and I want to know, how did you understand what your audience wanted out of you, out of the channel? What did you do to start understanding this process?
That's a really good point. So the thing that happened was it kind of went like a wildfire. When it first started, the value of a good title, good hashtags, good tags, good descriptions is key, because everyone always says the first 1,000 is the hardest. Once you get your first 1,000, you start to get a little bit of a sample of who your population is and what they want to see. My big thing for growth was I was just purely genuine. I was just a nice person, just being myself, and I responded to every single comment. I still respond to almost every single comment, and that is how you understand. I mean, when you talk to people, you get to learn who they are. So these people were writing, saying what their concerns were, what their pain was, what they wanted to know more about. And you start collecting that. You jot these down as notes, and this becomes the topic of future videos. Now, if you make a video on something that they're asking about, you have to make sure that it doesn't just pertain to that one subscriber, but would be of interest to a bigger audience, right? You don't want to be too specific. And then you just go from there. You keep answering their questions, engaging them. Every time you respond to one of their comments, it brings them back to your channel because they have to see what you said, right? And that'll get you another view. And it's this constant bringing everyone back. And when they come back, they might see, oh, you have a new video. And you keep going from there. They'll subscribe, you move on and on. So I think that that's the first key of growing.
So I think that, your situation's very unique, because I think you were automatically into a niche that was needed, and you've had big growth quickly. And most people, like myself, for instance, the growth takes a lot of time. I started making videos 3 years ago. I just posted a little bit here and there. And now I have like 650 subscribers. Now I am seeing growth, but it took me a lot of time. So, for me, it was all about SEO. Search engine optimization. Like you said at the beginning, about titles, descriptions, tags. Can you touch a little bit about how do you make your titles, or how are you searchable on YouTube or Instagram or all these platforms? What are you doing? What are you thinking about?
SEO is a huge topic, which I think we should dive into in another clip. But in brief, I think that when you do your tags, you have to realize that you're extending to a really big audience that's just waiting to discover you. It's not like these people don't care what you have to say. It's just they don't know where you are or what you're putting out there, right? It's really valuable information that everyone contributes to the internet. So I think that putting tags that are utilize it. They give you like 500 characters. Use all those characters. Like, put everything in there. And with mine, since I'm doing a lot with orthodontics, and you understand that the YouTube community is generally on the younger end, they're gonna be looking at stuff, and they're maybe not be typing in exactly what you want. So when you, instead of saying an orthodontist, you could put like Braces Doctor, or like Braces Explained, all these words that are kind of like energetic and giving them an idea of exactly what my channel is. So I think that...
Can you talk about really quick, Greg, just really quick, you mentioned tag, but I don't think everyone has an understanding of what a tag is. So just for a basic understanding, what does a tag do? How does it make your video relevant to your audience? Can you explain that?
So the tag is equivalent to the hashtag of Instagram. And for those that don't understand what these things are, they're basically words that are more or less hidden in the video that increases searchability. So like, let's say my video would be about cars, right? If the video is about cars, you could put hashtag motor, engine, race, speed, fast, energetic, all these things that aren't necessarily the name of the video, but they apply to it. So when someone searches these tags or these hashtags, you come up. It increases your optimization. And the way you do these is when you upload the video, it's one of the top 3 things it asks. It's what's the title, what's the description, what are your tags, what do you affiliate this video with? So I think those are all great things, and you have to make sure that you're appealing to the audience that you want, right? So Sami, I know that you respond to all your comments too, and some of them are appropriate and they ask you about your channel, and let's say your video is about toothbrushes, they ask about that. but you've had some people that were critical on your, and you even call them some like hate comments, right?
Hate comments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get some that are I can't understand if they're hate comments or they're making fun of me or whatever. But how do you manage these comments? Because you have an image. You are a doctor. You're a practicing person. You can't take offense to what some commenter on the internet is saying. So how do you deal with those things?
Okay. So you're talking about a major topic. In general, when you put information out there and you have an opinion, there are going to be people that disagree with you. There's going to be people that agree with you, right? And I think you got to love the hate comment. Hate comments is just more, it's more people that have their opinions that may disagree with you, and they're putting it out there. And let's be very specific with what we're talking about. I had one video I made about like a year ago. It was an electric toothbrush video. It has 50,000 views right now on YouTube. And all I was simply doing was comparing an Oral-B versus Sonicare electric toothbrush. And there were so many people that started commenting. Some people saying, you're wrong, you're using this wrong, you're doing this. And I think you just have to take it in and enjoy it. There are other people's comments. Respond to them. Be very respectful of your audience. You never want to disrespect the people. I honestly look at all comments and I find value in it. I think the person who is passionate, who may be disagreeing with me, they have a reason why they're disagreeing with me. And it's nice to maybe tone it back a little bit and go back to having an honest, open conversation with them. But I would never, I think when you respond to someone, you have to remember you have to be respectful of your audience. They're watching the video. They're taking time out of their day. Maybe they didn't agree with what you said. So just be respectful of them and respond openly and honestly.
That's a good point. And another thing that, I mean, speaking of responding to comments that I think is really important, especially if you're doing a healthcare channel, I go above and beyond to ensure that when I respond to these comments, I'm not giving any medical advice. We live in an era of, yes, social media, but we also live in an era of massive litigation. So you want to make sure that you're very careful when you respond to these comments and say things like, you know what, I can't answer that online without a thorough exam, or I can't do this without seeing you XYZ. And also put in a bunch of disclaimers. My YouTube videos, they all have a disclaimer saying, this isn't medical or dental advice. This is just explaining things that might not be pertinent to you, just educational, right? So I think that I don't want to go too far about commenting and answering without saying, be very careful when you answer these questions, because it is considered medical advice if you're advising someone to do or not do something, right?
And I would just say this, Greg. I would say, just to give a specific example of someone who's had massive success, I believe her name is Dr. Sandra Lee, Dr. Pimple Popper on YouTube. She has millions and millions of views. She has a whole business on her YouTube. And I believe when I was watching it, back in the day, she had this huge disclaimer at the beginning. And it was like literally just line after line after line for the first 5 to 10 seconds. Oh yeah, in the video, 5 to 10 seconds talking about how like what she's offering, her advice is not, meant to be personal advice to the commenters, like just protecting yourself, keeping yourself safe. Because honestly, we do live in a world where litigation is massive. There's people suing people for everything. So, and you just want to be careful, especially since we are, MDs, DDSs, and nurse practitioners and optometrists. We just have to be careful of our reputation and our name.
Definitely. So I'm going to move on to something that's a little bit more about the behind the scenes of understanding your audience, because I think that there's something to be said about that. Yes, you can respond to these comments, see what they want, but YouTube, Instagram, those are the two main ones that I'm comfortable with. And I know that they have a ton of potential for you to dive in and look at the analytics of who these subscribers are, like gender, age, location, when they're on there actively. So do you want to talk a little bit about either YouTube or Instagram analytics?
Yeah. I'll start with YouTube analytics. So or Instagram, but both platforms have the ability for you to understand your audience a little bit more thoroughly. If you go to YouTube Analytics, you can download an app on your phone, or you can go to the YouTube site and go to the Creator Studio. It will tell you the age range. It will tell you the location where people are watching your video. It will tell you like male, female. It really, they give you a lot of information telling you who is watching your video. And once you have that information, as you put out more content, as you become more popular, you're going to start to understand who your audience is. Yeah. That is critical in my mind. I don't have massive success yet, but I think that you have to understand your audience, because once you know who it is that is listening, you can tailor content
definitely.
specifically for that audience.
Definitely.
I mean, what do you think
I
about
agree
that?
100%. So I realized that a lot of my viewers, one, I look at the analytics, and two, when they leave comments, there's little icons of what they look like. I kind of try to zoom it in and see what the person looks like, try to get an age range on these people. Because if you are dealing with older, let's say you're talking about someone, I don't want to put age or anything, but if they're, adults, you don't want to be acting goofy in your videos. But if you're talking to kids, you don't want to be, overly technical, wearing, you want to be more casual. You want to be talking to your audience. So I think that's key. If you are, being goofy and trying to appeal to the older generation, you're going to be failing. Likewise, if you're going to be too serious and you're trying to appeal to the younger generation, if you put long videos out there, no one's going to watch it. They want quick. They want answers, and they want it simple and now. Now with Instagram, YouTube, it's very interesting. They have the time where people watch it and all that stuff, but it's not as critical as Instagram about timing, right? So I know you and I have talked a little bit about, do you think that it's important when you time your YouTube videos? I think Instagram is incredibly important, and it tells you when most of your followers are online. But do you think it's critical with YouTube on when you time these videos?
Okay, if I'm understanding you correctly, are you talking about the time of day?
The time of day or the time of week that you release videos. Do you think that plays a role?
Okay. So my limited understanding about Instagram is that there are certain times of the day that you need to post on Instagram, like Wednesday afternoon, like at 5 o'clock, depending on your East Coast or West Coast. It's better to post on a weekday. That's my understanding. On YouTube, it's about, in my opinion, consistency of the post. Okay. So I think you have to decide, am I going to be posting one video a week, 2 videos a week, one video every 2 weeks? And then you have to let that be known to your audience so that they have an expectation that a video is going to come out at this certain time. That's at least that's what I see when I'm on the YouTube platform. The big successful creators, they are very consistent in their posts. Their audience knows when they're posting, and then that's how they grow.
Do you think that the time of day is all right? So for Instagram, I've actually been doing a lot of research on this, and there's an analytics on there that tells you what day of the week most of your followers are on actively on Instagram, and
I didn't know that.
It tells you what time of the day they're more active. So you play with this, and you
are you serious?
It's awesome. I'll show the way you do it.
I never knew that.
On your page where you have all your galleries and stuff. You have to be in business mode though, so you have to convert your Instagram account to a business account. And then on the top, there's an area where you could click on above your profile picture, and it has all the analytics. It's awesome, and it really increases your success on Instagram. Now on YouTube, I agree with you. Consistency of posting is paramount. So I had an area on my channel where I had insane growth in the beginning. I mean, you saw it. It was just it just kept growing every day, and it was getting to the point where
10,000. What were the numbers?
I was getting
Can you give us
250 subscribers a day, 15,000 views a day. It was nuts, and I was doing it every week or every other week. It was relatively consistent. Now, I got sick, and I had to take the second week off, so I had to post it 3 weeks later because I had no voice, and I saw in that 1 week when it dropped so hard. It went down by maybe 70%. And YouTube was basically punishing me for not being consistent. And I mean, it sounds like kind of anecdotal, but it's true. You have to be consistent. So what I've done is once a week is tough. I totally understand that being once a week is tough. But once every other week at least, I usually try to do it on the weekend, once every other week. And the subscribers have notifications on. They get notified when you post these things. And you know what? They keep coming. And it grows during that time. So, between post number 1 and 2, you'll grow some subscribers. And between 2 and 3, it'll grow even more. So that when you drop the third video, you have all the subscribers that you've accrued during that time. If you post too frequently, you're going to run out of content, in my opinion.
So Greg, I've noticed that for your channel, because you've had over 10,000 subscribers, you have new tools that YouTube is giving you to understand your community more. One of them is YouTube Stories, similar to that of Instagram Stories, where you can post a short clip of yourself. Another one is a community section. Can you explain what these tools are and how they've helped you understand your community a little bit better?
It's awesome. So both YouTube and Instagram have these thresholds that once you reach them, they give you more access to things. So like you said on YouTube, Once you reach 1,000 subscribers and some other requirements, you can get monetized. Once you reach 10,000, you get community and stories. Just like I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen on Instagram, if you once you reach 10,000, you get the ability to do those swipe up links in your Instagram story. But back to what you asked about YouTube, I have communities and stories. Now, stories don't seem to be, I know that a lot of YouTubers say how they're super important. And what it is basically you can upload 10-second clips just like, or 15-second clips just like you do on Instagram. And people can comment and like it. But what I've been seeing a lot of success with was these communities. And what community is you basically post things. It's almost like, it's very similar to Instagram. You post it on your feed. So you can say like, I posted something saying like, oh, these are my resolutions for 2019. What are your resolutions, right? Because I'm very curious as to what my subscribers are going for this year. So they liked it. They left their comments. And I got to respond to each one of their individual comments. So it was really fun. You get to engage with them. And you make it a lot more personal. I mean, when you pop these videos out, it's going to all these like 18,000 as of now people. But there is no communication. There's no way of me addressing that you're a person or you addressing that I'm a person. So these things really help you engage with your subscribers and make it so that they know that you care about them and you're not just here to just one-way dialogue, right? And you've been really big about, actually, I want to, before we leave this, the stories on Instagram. You're really good about making yours interactive, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you make your stories, like increase communication with like tagging people and like putting up polls and all those things?
Yeah, I think it's a good, since we've done YouTube, maybe go on to the Instagram and talk about growth on that. So if you're talking about stories, that's just something that comes really natural to me. I love picking up a camera, just like pointing it to myself or to my wife or what we're doing. It's really quick, making a funny story. And that, once again, I think it comes down to consistency, just doing it every day. Because when you do an Instagram story, it goes on for 24 hours. And then after that 24 hours, it goes empty. And then you don't have a story posting anymore. My goal for this year is to make it that's never empty. I'm always posting every day.
That's a good
have
goal.
The consistency. And the stories, they're really like, I think it shows it's one of the most authentic ways to show yourself because it's literally live. It's in your face. You got to show what you're doing. You can talk to the community. You can put polls on there. So I think whenever you can be more authentic and real, whenever you break down these barriers, like we have a post-production barrier where we're editing, we're constructing something. When you break it down, eventually, like what we're going to do on this podcast, hopefully maybe we'll do a live podcast eventually where we could talk to our community as we grow. But I think once you break down barriers, you become more powerful in your storytelling, in what you're doing, in your business, in your life. So that's the way I look at it. But Greg, I think we're both trying to grow on Instagram. I think both of us are a little bit weak in that regard. And there's some people out there that have 50,000 followers or some people have 100,000 followers. I want to know, what is an organic way to grow your following? And what type of content are you trying to show on YouTube? Whether you can give me like some specific examples of what you're doing and also like what people should be doing in their own fields.
So I recently been giving a lot of more attention to not more attention, but giving Instagram the attention it deserves. The big thing I've been doing is I make sure that I post in a sequence so that if Instagram, the way it's laid out is that it has 3 columns, right? So I try to post in one photo of every style every 3 so that when you look at my page vertically, it has a similar style, right? So that just makes it appealing and looks a little more professional. I utilize, like I said earlier, I use a lot of hashtags. I tag a lot of people that are influential in the field with the hope that they repost me, which they're starting to do. And, you have to be engaging. A lot of my followers from YouTube came onto my Instagram and they're leaving comments. It's not like I'm going to ignore the comments here or on YouTube. You have to respond to them and be engaging. As well as, and then they'll tell their friends about you. They'll repost you. And that's huge because once someone reposts you, like let's say you put a picture, right? And one of my followers takes that picture and posts it on their story or on their page. What happens is all of their friends will start like, oh, what is this person? And you reach just a huge advertising area because you reach a lot of people like that. On a similar note, I don't want to go without saying on YouTube what I've been doing recently, which has been working phenomenally well, is I will go to pages of people that have braces and are asking, when they ask a question in the video, like, yeah, my orthodontist told me to brush twice a day, but they didn't tell me how long, let's say, which that's not true, but let's say they'll say that in their video. I'll watch it and say, you know what, you should be brushing for 2 minutes twice a day. I have a video on my page that talks about how to brush properly. Why don't you come by and check it out? Now, if you do that early on, a lot of people that follow you also follow these people. They're like, oh my God, Dr. Greg is here. And they'll all start liking that comment. That comment shoots up onto their page. And now it's another source of advertisement. So you're advertising yourself on other pages, right?
So, okay. So I think what you're trying to say is, which is something I haven't been doing, is being in general interactive with the community. So I think what you're saying is that if you're on Instagram, and you have your own orthodontic channels that you're following, comment on those people. Be interactive with other Instagram media influencers. And when you're interactive there, some people, you might get a cross where people will start following you from the comments, from valuable comments that you're adding on other people. And you're doing the same thing with you. I haven't thought about that, and I think that's actually really
and
important.
It's not
just
only
to be
other
interactive
influencers,
in the platform.
You gotta get the audience too. Like there's one level where you can just be contacting the other influencers and responding to their comments, but also some people are just doing personal vlogs, or people that are just leaving comments. If you answer their comment, they're going to appreciate it, and they're going to say, you know what, let me check out this guy's page. They come over, if they like it, they subscribe, and then you grow and you grow and you grow. The thing is you can't just post and let it go. You have to nurture your social media and your audience.
So, you know what? Some people might be watching and be like, man, these guys, they talk a big game. But how the hell are you going to go ahead and how do you have the time to do this? I mean, you're an orthodontic resident at UCLA, if you don't mind me saying. Great school, by the way. Came from there too. But where do you have time to now, you're saying, create content, number one. Number two, interact with other people. I mean, do you have a set schedule? Are you trying to figure that out right now? How are you doing all of this while also being an orthodontic resident?
It's tough, In the beginning, it was easy. You get 2-3 comments a day, no problem. You can respond on your phone. Then you start getting to like 20, and it's like, okay, that's a lot to type on my phone. I'll do it on my computer at night. Then you start getting into like, 60, 70, 80, 100. It's really, really hard to do all this and find the time in the day. So what I try to do is I wake up a lot earlier nowadays. And, I take some time quiet before anybody else gets in, pull up my computer, just respond to comments, go on my Instagram, actively engage with some things. Throughout the day, at lunch, you can engage a little bit as well, answer some questions. You kind of just find the time, you make the time and you allocate it. And it's a lot. It's a lot of work. No one said it was going to be easy, but it's so rewarding. It's a lot of fun because you really get to engage with so many people, and it's so powerful.
So in a way, you're kind of treating it like a little bit like a job, a fun job. Like you respond to emails. You have a certain section of your day responding to emails. Are you trying to say that you should also have a dedicated time for social media responses?
Definitely,
is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think that your social media responses should trump your job emails, because I think that that's, this is more of a hobby in the beginning. But, after you finish your emails, let's say you have a little bit of downtime, the time that you would go and, scroll through your Instagram feed just to see what you want to watch. You use that time and you follow along and you respond to the comments that people left on your page. It's a little bit more work, but it's definitely rewarding. And it goes back to this topic of understanding your audience and growing your reach, which I wanted to talk to you about because you're really good at this. So when I started up on my social media, I hit braces, and don't get too cocky with this. So when I start up, I hit braces heavy, and you know what? It stuck, and I just traveled down that route. But it's very unidirectional. All I'm doing is explaining orthodontics. I mean, it's not all. It's a lot of stuff. But you kind of went into the game, and you're almost blessed with the ability to hit different avenues and see what sticks, what doesn't. So I'm trying to dabble along and talk to pre-dent, pre-health, pre-everything now in some videos and seeing how that's going to go. But how do you sample different audiences and make sure that it's appealing to this guy but not annoying to this guy?
That's so difficult. You're right on point. I would say this first. I would say, Greg, Greg Braces Explained has had massive success. He's touched on something that no one is doing. He's done it early, and it's going to propel him to another level. Me, on the other hand, I grew San Diego Dentistry with the initial goal to educate patients about dentistry, whether it be about how a crown is fabricated, about how whitening is performed. And then I started to realize I wasn't getting that much traffic. I started to realize the YouTube platform I wasn't getting too many views. So then I started to do dental related content to dental students and to dentists. And then all of a sudden, when you look at the analytics, I realized the majority of my subscribers is coming from people when I'm talking to them about dentistry, like technically specific items. And so now, I'm still searching for the answer. I enjoy producing content for everyone. In general, education is one of my passions. I mean, you and I both did education in our dental school career. It's something that I'm passionate about, something that makes me very happy. Also, video editing in general makes me happy, understanding this. But, putting content out there is fun. I'm starting to realize now that my dental specific content is working, but I'm not going to stray away from everyone else.
Right. Yeah, you can't
for
abandon
example,
the few subscribers you have that came to you because of the content that you started with, right?
Yeah, and I think you should always be searching for, how do you grow, your audience? And you don't want to stick to just something. It's nice. It's nice to stick to something that works, and I think you're having massive success in that too. But
you
always want to look at what other valuable information can you do. Yeah, and for example, we started this podcast, and we found a niche that I think that people who want to grow YouTube channels, Instagram channels, I think they're going to be interested in watching other people grow and learn how to do it too. And that's another audience, that we can speak to. And I think it's fun. So
definitely.
I don't know. What do you think?
No, I definitely agree. I think that you shouldn't spread yourself too thin, but at the same time, you should kind of get some spread because, no one gets successful by it. If you look at these successful YouTubers, it's not like they got famous from just posting reviews of there's some that only do one thing and they're very good at it and they're a huge success, but they have that one thing is pretty broad. But generally speaking, a lot of people hit different avenues that are all somewhat related. And that's how you grow your reach because then they start to cross-populating themselves. People get interested in things that they might not have even been interested in the beginning because of your channel. So I think the bottom line, and I think kind of the take-home of this entire podcast was, get out there, put out the content, and see how it's received.
And can I say one thing, definitely. Greg, just to answer that question? I forgot to say one thing, is that just put content out there. That's the hardest part. Is let's say I have a new idea. For example, I put out a video recently that was tailored to the dental student, how to apply, like things to consider when applying to dental school. And that does not serve, it served almost like, I've never done a video like that before. I put it out there and guess what? It's not a hit. It's not a hit. And I learned from that. And maybe it will be later on, but you just learn by simply putting yourself out there, getting out of your comfort zone, and just understanding your audience by just putting content.
That's the big
out there.
thing. I think we should talk about either next time or one of the following times about being vulnerable and putting yourself out there because it's not easy and it is embarrassing at first because you're being vulnerable. It's incredibly embarrassing. But you just
should that be our next topic?
Could be. But let's wrap this one up. Question of the day: favorite vacation spot.
Ooh,
that's
is that for me? Okay, favorite vacation spot. Well, I gotta tell them about the vacation I'm going to this year, which is the Amalfi Coast of Italy. So we're going there in May. Very nice. So it's not. I haven't been there yet, but I imagine it's gonna be my favorite vacation spot.
Your favorite vacation spot is a place you haven't been yet. That's promising, but it's good. It's good.
Yes.
I don't know, somewhere tropical, maybe Hawaii. I like going to Maui, just chilling. I haven't been there in a long time, but I think it's overdue. Maybe as a graduation gift to myself. But anyways,
let's do it. I'm coming with you,
boss. Oh yeah, come. Let's go. It'll be fun. We'll make a podcast there. All right, buddy. So let's wrap this one up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment, a thumbs up, share it with people. We're asking you guys to share it because that's how we all grow. We look forward to seeing you guys on another episode. And with that being said, Dr. Greg out.
All right, guys, I really enjoyed the conversation today. Please be a part of the community. Leave comments down below. We want to grow, and we also want to talk to you guys, see how you grow. So be a part of our community. It's really fun having these conversations with everyone, and I'll catch you next time. See you later, guys.
Take care.